Welcome to Therapy Unlocked, where we discuss all things therapy from an unlocked perspective. I'm Emily Huffman, and I'm here with Katrina.
Hello, Katrina, Mondragon, licensed professional counselor. All right, so like I said, I am a professional, but not your professional, so nothing we're going to talk about today should be taken as medical, legal, or otherwise advice. This podcast is purely for education and amusement. That is it. That's the disclaimer.
Education, amusement, and because I would like to be famous, so please like, subscribe, follow, engage, hate on us, join the conversation, find us on YouTube, find us on Instagram, find us anywhere where you listen to podcasts, because I love a creeper, and I love a hater, and I love a lover. So if you like the podcast, if you dislike the podcast, I'd like to hear from you.
They're super mind-reading powers.
Right. I like your shoes.
Thank you so much.
I got Crocs.
I like them too. They're like Cinderella shoes if they were in the most garish color available. Which I think is just peak my style and aesthetic at this point in time. All right, so that is kind of what I wanted to talk about with style and aesthetic. So I got dressed today and I was taking a look in the mirror and I knew we were going to record, and I was like, I love this outfit, and also I might look a little bit ridiculous for those who are listening, not watching. I do have on my favorite space cowboy shirt and some tie-dye pants and some bright orange shoes and this awesome sweater which has skulls and stars on it, and I've got pink hair and my glasses are purple polka dots. So aesthetically, I'm doing a lot here. I'm giving a lot to the world. You're welcome. But I'm also a business professional and a mother and a medical patient. And I know that you are a medical professional and you have people coming in all the time.
I wore this to work.
You look amazing. You look amazing. But you also look what I would think of as professional. Again, for those listening, not watching, she's got on a lovely kind of an athletic style striped sweatshirt and some like gorgeous black pants and some cool Crocs. And like, she looks fun, but like professional, right? I don't necessarily look like I should be fronting an office, which is fair. I don't. I work from home. But if I were going into an appointment, I know just based on what we already know about people and archetypes, etc., that there's some preconceived notions when you see someone who looks a certain way. And I was just wondering, as a therapist, how you either work to overcome that, or if you've noticed that bias in yourself or anything along those lines. When you meet someone and they look a certain way, they're forward facing.
We're actually taught to check our biases at the door and not to make assumptions based on people's appearances. So what they present as in the office, maybe we take note of it if they look disheveled or unkempt, but not if they're just wearing different color hair.
Right. Yeah.
In fact, if they just got their hair done, maybe you would note that, like, looks like they just got their hair professionally done, not necessarily what color it is, but just that they got it done.
That they got it done. I got you. I know as a mom, I often have that like kind of, I'm not sure one of these things is not like the other. When I'm at like the school conferences or something and I'm walking around and I'm like, hey, oh man, that girl's got a cool bag. Oh, that's a child, that does happen to me. I have childish taste. But that said, I think that teachers and professionals interact with me a little bit differently. I think they're more casual off bat.
Do they perceive you as childlike?
No.
No?
I don't find that. I don't find that anyone really does that. I find most of the time that people seem more comfortable to speak with the kind of alternative style. And I don't know if that has anything to do with what was one of my favorite trends a few years ago, which was to tell little kids to go find a goth or go find an alternative person, or go find a black person if they are lost and they need help. And I was like, actually, I can't think of many goth or alternative or black people I know that would not stop and help a kid.
Right.
So that's a cute and wonderful trend. But yeah, it tends to be that people are more comfortable, maybe more gregarious, maybe a little bit like...
Oh, good word. Gregarious, for those of you who don't know, is like outgoing and social butterfly.
Yeah, I think this gives social butterfly, which is ironic since I rarely leave the house. And so that probably brings some attention back in that same mirroring kind of fashion, But do you find is there a particular like style that you mirror, maybe feel like you have a different approach with them or something like that? Do you vary your approach or anything?
No, I don't vary my approach based on somebody else dressed. How somebody is dressed does not affect how I approach my therapeutic experience. No, I come at it from like a solution-focused brief therapy techniques or cognitive behavioral, ultimately humanistic. Like I see people as humans first rather than these like puzzles to solve. I figure out what works and then we do more of that. To quote Steve DeShazer, he said that. Figure out what works and do more of that.
Yeah, figure out what works and do more of that is that goes right there with that fail more.
And that can be for anybody. That doesn't matter what you're wearing, what your background is, where you're from. We figure out what works for you and do more of that. And what works for one person is not necessarily going to work for another person. So I think we've talked before about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding. That may be overstimulating for some people. And so that might not be their technique. Tip might be another one that would work great for other people. So
what is tip?
Tip is like the temperature, intense exercise, and paced breathing. It's a dialectical behavioral technique. And so that can also be boiled down to not boiled down, but like just an ice pack or something. Carry a bottle of water or an ice pack, put it just on the inside of your shirt. Yeah, or a crushing one. Yeah, and you put it just on the inside of your collar. Okay. And that really cools you down.
Oh, you have that video you did on Instagram where you put your face straight into a bowl of ice water. I thought that was so interesting and a really great way of like showing how you can shock your nervous system and control, you can exert some control over the way you're feeling and the way things are going. I know personally that is one of my biggest stressors when I feel like I have no control over what's happening.
Autonomic nervous system sounds like automatic, and it will be automatic. We will just breathe until we die, but we can control our breath. And when we control our breath, for example, exhale being twice as long as the inhale, that activates the more parasympathetic side, the more calming side, telling the little person in the back of the brain, like, hey, it's going to be okay. You can chill out.
I love how much agency and like just general, power you kind of give to your clients and to people and to my kids, people that she talks to, about their lives and about what they can decide to do. I'm not sure if enough people know that benefit comes from
point that. Because a lot of people think that therapy or therapists or like people go to therapy to like get life advice. That's not at all true. That's not what therapy is. Therapy is not advice. I do not shit on people. I do not tell people how to live.
Unfortunately, man, I was really hoping when I went to therapy, the first time. And to be honest, most times I've seen a new therapist, I'm like, man, I hope this one's going to give me that instruction manual. Oh, I need that instruction manual so bad. They forgot to send it to me and I need one.
It's like we don't have the answers.
No, a lot of it. In every therapeutic experience I've ever had, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it has been a lot of that, just getting your own agency, finding your own solution. The advice isn't necessarily there so much as the push in the correct thought process direction.
Well, not that it's correct or weird or wrong or bad to begin with, but helpful. Yeah, beneficial.
Helpful. Yeah. No, my thought with asking the style questions is, I think you said it best in one of our recent episodes, where you don't pathologize people based on whether this was our marijuana episode, I think, whether or not they used medical marijuana. Well, this look certainly gives that kind of impression to people too, I think, because I can't tell you how many wink, wink, nudge, nudges I've got over the fact my birthday is 4/20. There's nothing inherent about that. But when you pair it with a certain look, people make assumptions.
Nowadays, if you dress up with a honey pot on July 7th, you might also get the same kind of acknowledgement.
What's that?
You don't know what 710 is?
No.
Oil spelled upside down is 710. So for the dabbers out there, that's the 710 holiday.
Okay. All right. No, I didn't know that one. I did not know that one. I'm not.
You don't dab?
I do not.
No. I didn't know that was the thing either until really recently. I heard it on the internet.
Yeah. Well, you get exposed to so much. You get exposed to so much information too. I'm jealous of that.
I'm an information gatherer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. That's definitely a special interest of mine, is just the further pursuing of more information. But no, my style thought process is that you don't pathologize people whether or not they are marijuana users. And I think that people assume more of that is going on than maybe is. But I want to keep it real, and maybe you can aid with this in the fact that you have the both side perspective of this. But I've also known professionals in their personal lives. There is some assumption that goes on.
Right. If they show up in scrubs, I'm going to make the assumption that maybe they're on their lunch break. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make the assumption maybe they just got off a 12-hour shift. I'm going to make the assumption, and maybe I won't make the assumption. Maybe I'll actually ask and check in, like, are you really exhausted to be here today? Do you feel up for doing this kind of work?
That one. So I've had professionals ask me that same question. Never comment on my clothing, my appearance, or anything that I've chosen along those lines. Great job to everybody who's ever worked with me. But that said, there has been times before that I've been asked, you know, like, are you really tired, or did you struggle to get here? That kind of thing. But I'm not
sure. That's an appropriate question because that's relevant. Because for some people, just showing up to therapy can be like the hardest part of their day is to make it into that office.
I think it's so hard. I think it's just really hard to make that choice. I think I think a lot of people in our peerage find this to be the same kind of feeling when you have to go to any appointment, or you need to call and make an appointment, that kind of thing, like we've talked about before. I think it makes it easier when you can kind of demystify the situation.
Maybe you can help me out with this one. Why is it so hard to call? I'm fine picking up the phone and just making a call real quick, but so many people are not.
Okay, so I think it's the fear of the unknown.
Okay.
That is my assumption. I don't know what it is for everyone, and I don't have like a clear thought in my mind when I'm anxious or uncomfortable about going to make a phone call.
It's not like, are they going to yell at me? What if they curse me out? Not like that.
No, I don't think that there's any. I think it's just that spot, and probably for our periods, like I just said, the fact that we've faced so many unprecedented times, right? So much unknown has come in and scarred our little brains. So now little bitty events of unknown are much more intimidating than they should be.
Oh, so you're saying it's like a pattern of association. There's been all these unknowns that have been horrible and awful and no good. So then it's like a little unknown is big scary.
And that's not a professional opinion. That's a kind of a mom opinion. That's the same, like, because I've thought about it before, just like, why do we act like this? Like, why are you being like this? Okay, well, maybe because it's scary.
Yeah.
You know?
And I say try and do one scary thing per day. Because if we do a scary thing per day, then at least we're trying. Because they say that growth happens like just outside of our comfort zone. If we stay in that comfort zone where it's like safe and comfortable and nothing scary is happening at all, then there's nothing being grown, versus stepping just outside and getting a little wet or getting a little uncomfortable, feeling that unknown, that discomfort.
Yeah.
And sitting with it. That's going to be the hardest part for a lot of people, sitting with that discomfort of like, what if they do answer the phone? What if I don't know what to say? All of that's okay, because they're not going to creep through the phone and get you. What movie was that? They did do that in a movie.
They did.
But it's not like a in real life.
Oh man, that makes me think of that one like cheesy horror movie where it was like the cell phone, like the phone was like texting them threats or something. I don't think I ever watched it. All I can think of is the preview.
Unknown Number?
Maybe that's it.
That was a recent one. That was like a catfish thing on Netflix.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. Well, that said, no, I think it is the fear of the unknown. And I think that a little bit, it's the same with that style question I was asking at the beginning. You know, why do people wonder, you know, well, because you never really know how someone's going to react. And you can get like one sour grape that sort of ruins your future going into a situation. You know, maybe for every 100 therapists who aren't going to say anything about it, there's the 101st therapist that's like, so why do you feel the need to draw this much attention to yourself? Or something like that, you know, where they pathologize it or really want to dig into that kind of idea. You know, without prompting, I suppose that would be a fine thing to talk about. But either way, for me, it's because I want to be famous. But yeah, that said, like, you know, in the idea of unlocking the mind and pursuing, you know, therapy secrets.
The therapists do come in with their own biases and their own preconceived notions, and we have to go through our own therapy, our own supervision. In order to be a clinician, you have to like go through the process, and you have to like check yourself before you can help someone else. And so that's a helpful thing that I think that I went through back in, when I was in school. I graduated in 2013, so my practicum would have been like 2012, supervision would have been around that time. So like 2012, 13, 14, 15, around there, I was under supervision and learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself, a lot about what was outside of my scope of practice. So like things like intellectual disabilities are really outside of my scope of practice. Another thing that's outside of my scope of practice, I would say, is like not that I can't work with ADHD, but it's not like my focus.
Yeah.
But I can work within the realm of cognitive behavioral therapy, ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
And like trauma, I would say, is a focus of mine, but I don't do trauma focused therapy except for cognitive behavioral. But I mean, like, I don't do somatic experiencing. I don't do eye movement, rapid desensitization.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't take any offense when people decide to like switch gears and go a different route.
I got you. That makes sense. Now, I think that that's probably all the time we have for today.
Oh, yeah.
But next time, I think we should dig into that a little bit more. Why do you pick and choose between your different, or like what is the selection process for modalities would be an interesting.
Oh, it's intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
I come from an eclectic, I can answer that real quick. I come from an eclectic approach. And so using that humanistic approach is like my mindset, then figuring out what would be the best tool for this person in this moment. I go back to my toolbox and say, okay, you're struggling with values. Let's do this values exercise. And then I have an acceptance and commitment technique exercise with it's like all about figuring out what your values are and narrowing them down. So we figure out what's most appropriate for the client and go with that. And then whether it's tactile and like with hands-on or whether it's audible or like a worksheet is really up to the client. So like I ask people, what's your learning style?
I was about to say, do you dig into their learning styles? Do you test learning styles?
I don't test, I just ask.
I found that my third grader did a learning styles test at school and I was like, wow, that's really getting younger and younger every year. Like
that's awesome.
People are latching onto that. And I think that's great. I think it's such a correct idea. But much like learning styles and our actual style approaches, it's all very individualized and unique. So I'm glad that you
individualized treatment plans are essential, like because gearing treatment towards the person, like tailoring it to their specific needs, I think is the most helpful thing.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes
sense. That is all the time we have.
All right. Thank you for joining us on Therapy Unlocked. Join us again next time to see what we're yapping about and, maybe what we're wearing. I don't know. I hope you have a great day. And
I'll probably change.
Well, I hope so. It's going to be a while. I don't know. But yeah, have a great day.